Hello, not hello, but hello, everybody. Hello, there's hello, social media family, and or any visitors to that being of my own personal chat room and our channel. Being whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences, and being of the old and young alike, are both two sexual genders of males and females representing not only that being the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within this post 911 era of our new millennium of this apocalyptic day and age, and whereas the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight, compared on to our formerly previous or prior to then, it was at a quarter to midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. How are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, to be feeling all right, or if not best of all, to be said to be feeling blessed, then stressed, more blessed than stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, your family and friends, and hopefully me and mine likewise as well, are all the same. Well, whatever I have said, be I speaking, that is that of my person, that of some of such correct, proper, standard English grammar of American dialect, of some of such qualities and quantities or not. Be I speaking the King's English or street slang for that matter. The bottom line is what I'm trying to say is that I wish you all well regardless. And that is that being of the persons of those being of whom are among yourselves, believers and unbelievers or non-believers alike. But then whereas my social media family, you know, to be considered cannot be whatsoever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences, but then any visitors to my own personal chat room and channel and our channel maybe, you know. But then just don't come in here as a negative internet troll character, being that because if you do, whereas you would attempt to use that my own personal channel, that is my own personal chat room and a channel or whatever I have said, as a speaker's platform or podium to spread gloom and doom of speech that is un-American and that is blasphemous, then take a hike. I'm not having it. I have a zero tolerance level for persons of interest, so to speak, and then some, and or of characters, being of whom would or could possibly, for that matter, even so, remind me, or who would probably that much more have me reflect upon characters or proverbial neighbors from hell, or public nuisances, or problem neighbors of the likes of psychopaths, sociopaths, sadomasochists, sadists, cowardly bullies, and or terrorist wannabes. And if you are coming into my own personal chat room and our channel, being a witches with a mind's intentions or with a twisted, warped, wicked mindset to attempt to vent as in express yourselves with that of some or such rather ignorant, insane, and impolite or stupid, sick, sadistic, and rude mental thoughts to be expressed as in transformed into verbal sentiments or that of the printed word format or fashion, then take a hike. I'm not having it here. I have a zero tolerance level for that nonsense, for that craziness or insanity, you know, or foolishness or whatever it's to be called. Well, I know it would be ignorant, insane, or stupid and sick, not to mention impolite or rude. So take it elsewhere, you know. Meaning because life is too short for believers and unbelievers and non-believers alike to permit somebody else to attempt to take another person hostage or attempt to force somebody else to become a POW or one's rather twisted, warped, wicked mindset. And if you are one of those negative internet trolls or characters then my strong suggestions or advice to you would be to go schedule for yourself an appointment with a shrink, and not only that, but with an exorcist possibly, before somebody else mandates that you appear before a judge, jury, and prosecutor within a court of law only after you're arrested by the police for a possible and a potential hate crime. And I'm not having it here, not my personal channel, not my personal chat room and or channel, I ever said. And now, moving right along, now that I've gotten the preliminaries or the basic introduction out of the way, well, with this slight interjection, so I say, if I were to commence the verbal exercise and speaking my own personal views and opinions upon this present social media broadcast or video of mine, as you notice or witness the title as it is in regard and reference to that being the or person of our former or ex-president of the U.S.A., United States of America, being of whom had committed impeachable acts of inciting mob action to attempt to overthrow the government of the U.S.A., United States of America. But then, nevertheless, I say that if anybody has that being a disagreement with some of the things I can or could possibly say in exercising my own First Amendment rights and or privileges of freedom of speech that complements the First Amendment of our U.S. Constitution upon U.S. Constitution or constitutions, however said, upon a city, state, and or national or federal level, then I would appreciate it if you were to, go about expressing verbal sentiments or rebuttals or replies or responses in a democratic and likewise in a discretionary manner of speaking. Otherwise, take a hike, okay? And because I'm not buying into that nonsense otherwise of negative verbal rhetoric, sentiments to be possibly expressed. And why should I? Because my domain is not the one to permit that kind of nonsense to be fumigated within it. I will not have it. I have a zero tolerance level for it, If you have something to say, then say it to me with respect for my domain. Otherwise, excuse my apartment French, as play the part of devil's advocate, and as I think of it with that in my mind's attention, try backtrack here with reason or purposes being, and also I'm going to follow to continue from where and when that my person had last left off, so I'm going to finish up as incomplete, a former previous or prior line thought in the saints' word, and do disregard or ignore any interruption. No, I'm not talking about or regarding or making reference to any communications coming from an electronic device, but rather from a certain obnoxious, proverbial, ignorant, and or insane, not to mention impolite, or in other words, stupid, sick, sadistic, and or rude neighbors from hell. Or public nuisance is a problem, neighbors, but I'm not making reference to any electronic device of communications, but rather in due regard on reference to that of any ignorant, insane, and impolite, or stupid, sick, sadistic, and rude, obnoxious, proverbial neighbors from hell, or public nuisance, a problem. Neighbors is what I meant to say. Prince of Peace continue to regulate my mind compared to how the Prince of Darkness attempts to confuse my speech. And in due regard in reference to the noises that you heard within the last few minutes to complement their characters. Anyway, though, and now moving right along as our kissing cousins, being the Brits, as in British or English, across the great waters of the Atlantic would say, you know, being of whom live within a similar supposed so-called democratic republic or democracy to be compared onto our own, being for that of the supposed so-called mother country that gave birth to our own supposed so-called democratic republic or democracy of the U.S.A., United States of America. Yes. So I say to you all, my fellow Americans or fellow American citizens and all foreigners upon the North American continent, or to whosoever else for the rest of the global community for that matter. Okay. Bloody great. Now that I've gotten the preliminaries out of the way, yes, bloody good show, mates. And now let's commence with the verbal exercise. In due regard and reference to the present social media broadcast of video of mine. But then once again, I say with the slight interjection, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. I will no longer be giving out much or many freebies of a secular nature anymore, compared to that being of which is of a religious, supernatural, or spiritual one here and there, or this one and that one, or those being of some such otherwise. Being because unless I get my 4,000 subscribers, so that I can be given an incentive to produce any secular social media broadcasts and or videos, then it's not happening. Well, maybe once in a blue moon to give out a freebie, but it's not likely to happen. It would be less likely than more than likely, or more often than not. If anything I would produce here on out until I were to get my 4,000 subscribers, so that I would be given incentive to produce secular ones, as in get paid that monetary finances complementing our own banking institutions or banking systems, then it's not happening. Whereas, if anything, the majority or most of my social media broadcasts or videos will be of a religious, supernatural, spiritual format until further notice. And now let me commence with that of the verbal exercise. In due regard in reference to the present social media broadcast or video of mine, as it is regarding and making reference to a former ex-president of the U.S.A., United States of America, being none other than the Mr. Moneybags, Pussy Groper president, although he himself was not as offensive as another former ex-president of the U.S.A., United States of America, for our own supposed so-called democratic republic or democracy as we have it, being a one president, Mr. Bill Bobcat Pussy Rapist Clinton, who had snatched the panties, raped, snatched the panties, sexually assaulted, snatched the panties. Ben of whom had snatched the panties of more than quite a few born and raised female persons, a woman, and got away with murder. But then this present social media broadcast and our video is not, in due regard in reference to that particular former ex-president of the USA, but rather it is to be considered that mental thoughts and or verbal sentiments to be expressed in due regard in reference to the most recent former ex-president of the USA, United States of America, being of a one President Donald J. Trump, or President DT, President Dotard, who was the first president of the USA who had not only been impeached once, there are other presidents that I stand corrected. There are other presidents of whom had been impeached, but he is the only president of the U.S.A., United States of America, being of whom has been impeached twice, is what I meant to say. Correction. And now let's commence with the verbal exercise. Excuse my language, pardon my French, and forgive me for that being some of such words, being of which I had employed the uses thereof to describe both former ex-presidents of the USA, as it was unchristian or non-Christian. I beg your pardon for that, you all. Being of which were words that could possibly complement or reflect that express the splendors of profanity or cuss words, to simply say. Anyway, though, getting on with some such other for the original topic of discussion. As you know, President Donald J. Trump has been impeached the second time, consecutive time, for the second consecutive time. And now the U.S. Congress, the United States Congress, or the House of Representatives and the Senate, rather than put like that, are going about that of investigating matters as to whether or not he himself had committed impeachable crimes of offense, that being of which would constitute and or complement that of an insurrectionist attempt to overthrow the government of the Democratic Republic or the democracy of the USA, United States of America. And from what I had viewed of the social media broadcasts of videos, which he played a great part in, then I wish to change that being of my own verdict or views and opinions, whereas before then I was making statements about how I think that he should be acquitted, but now it is the total opposite. Whereas I think that he should be impeached, charged, and convicted for insurrectionist acts, for insurrectionist verbal sentiments expressed, being of which had led to inciting mob action of insurrectionist acts of a physical nature to attempt to overthrow the Democratic Republic or the democracy of the USA, United States of America. Being that because his verbal sentiments of inciting mob action, violence of insurrection to overthrow the government, the Democratic Republic of the USA, United States of America, was not only un-American, but it was undemocratic and unconstitutional. He has committed a felonious act of treason by having incited mob violence that constitutes or complements an insurrectionist attempt to overthrow the government of the USA, United States of America. So therefore, he should be charged and convicted for high crimes of treason against that of our own democracy. What he did was inexcusable. It was much worse than that President Tricky Dick Watergate. Therefore, President Donald J. Trump should be charged and convicted for high crimes of treason, being of offenses that were un-American and or unconstitutional. That being of high crimes of treason, being of which had complemented as well as is to be taken into consideration that constitutes that of a socialist and or communist agenda. So, therefore, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, do all within your power to bring that fascist sympathizer and or empathizer, being of the former ex-president of the U.S.A., United States of America, to justice. He must be tried for high crimes of treason to complement that of a historical Nuremberg trial to charge and convict National Socialists or Nazis, that of the dictatorship of Germany, for committing civil and human rights violation offenses against citizens and all foreigners upon the continent of Europe during World War II. I'm sorry, for all races of peoples or persons. Mind you, everybody, as the British would say, yes. The word Führer only means leader. It only means that it's a definition to be translated, to be defined as meaning leader in the German language. At one time or another, President Donald J. Trump, or former ex-president Donald J. Trump, started out as an American patriot, and that was before he had become an American traitor, to be compared onto the character similar to, well, supposedly Benedict Arnold. We must charge and convict President Donald J. Trump of high crimes of treasonous acts against the government of the Democratic Republic of the U.S.A., United States of America, because what he had done or did was not just quite, excuse me, but very much so inexcusable. But then don't I look quite patriotic, you all, in my red, white, and blue, like a modern day Captain America? When Captain America throws his mighty shield, and the red and the white and the blue will shine through. Not to mention, like, Tony Stark makes you feel he's the coolest cat with the heart of steel. He's Iron Man. Boom, boom, boom. But then, now let's get back to the original topic of the discussion. And if we go after former ex-president Donald J. Trump to charge and convict him with high crimes of treasonous acts, high crimes of treason against the Democratic Republic or democracy of the U.S.A., United States of America is what I meant to say. Correction. Then we must likewise, as well, also all the same, go after former governor of New York, I think it is, being of the attorney or lawyer Michael Giuliani, being because he himself is just as guilty of high crimes of misdemeanor or felonious acts of treason against the Democratic Republic or democracy of the U.S.A., United States of America, being of whom was the former, many of whom is the former or ex attorney or lawyer for the former or ex president of the U.S.A. is what I meant to say. Correction. President Donald Trump, you brought this on yourself. You hear? You brought this on yourself. Coming off like an American Adolf Hitler, American Führer of Nazi Germany. You brought this on yourself. You hear what I'm saying? You wouldn't heed the warnings. The Attorney General, rather, correction, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, warned you the first time that you had to go through an impeachment process to cut the nonsense out. But then, stupid does as stupid feels. You would think that after having gone through one impeachment trial that you would have gotten a message, but no. You wanted to continue to act out or misbehave in a negative way, like you had become brain dead or brainless, like you had a Frankenstein brain. Therefore, you must pay the serious for the serious consequences of your actions. President Donald J. Trump, you are to be charged and convicted with high crimes of treasonous acts against the Democratic Republic of the government of the U.S.A., United States of America. But then everybody, mark my words, hear me out. So far as Mr. Buffalo Horn Hat Man, don't charge and convict him. But the rest of those racist redneck radicals, charge and convict them, as well as charge and convict former president of the U.S.A., of the United States of America, being of a one former ex-president, now civilian, being none other than Mr. former ex-president Donald J. Trump, or the D-tard president of the USA, or dotard president of the USA, as Kim Jong-un would call him, that North Korean dictator, being of whom for his commie or communist or socialist country or nation has some of the worst jails in the whole wide world, or world wide web, whatever, for the global community. But then his sister is hot. Good thing I'm trying to get right with God as a believer, as a Christian, a.k.a. Protestant. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind hopping in the sack with her and grabbing her love handles and coming off like the real life quagmire with Kim Yo Young. And be like, that's his sister. I'm like, giggity. But hopefully not like a former ex-president of the USA, being not making reference to the pussy groper president, but rather the pussy rapist president, Big Bill Bobcat. Oh, there I go again. Sorry about that. With the abuse language that is unbefitting. I say unbefitting a police officer, cop. God, whether or not I was a uniformed police officer, cop in times past. Well, I know that I was prior military enlistment personnel, but rather that is unbefitting of a Christian believer in God and or of a Protestant. Any different races of underage minors or males and females of adolescent or teenage and or preteen children of many different races and of whatever walks of life or whatsoever fashion, society, or lifestyle preferences, if you could possibly be viewing this present social media broadcast or video of mine, hopefully you do so with parental guidance or with your parents present, meaning because a little of it is rather rather verbal graphics, being of which may not be suitable for younger viewers and or listeners, or you know what I mean say. You know, with me having used the P with the wilding N word. Anyway, though, you all, I'm going to speed dial this here now and bringing matters to a conclusion so far as concerning as it is regarding or making reference to the present social media broadcast or video of mine being of one of my freebies, you know, whereas I'm going to get the conclusion as I would think to do so with any of my social media broadcasts or videos, however said, whereas I would give the introduction, but then I will no longer, you know, say to you all, my social media family, and any visitors to my own personal chat room and a channel, that being of the word hello, after I had received that, like I had become subject to experiencing what I had received of an epiphany or revelation or vision after reading this one pamphlet or leaflet where it says that when you say the greeting word of hello to anybody, then you're literally actually wishing a curse upon another individual person, regardless of race or walk of life, faction, or society, or lifestyle preference, being because the root word of the greeting word hello, or as it is spelled, H-E and a couple of hockey sticks plus O, or H-E and a couple of toothpicks plus O, or H-E-double-L-O, or H-E-L-L-O, would be that of the word hell, being of which is to be described in explanation, the word hell being of which translated to be defined as meaning a place of torment. So what you're really doing when you greet somebody with the word hello, you're really telling them to go to damn hell. So therefore, I will no longer greet any of you all with the word hello, but rather with that of a word being of a substitute, or replace it with the word of halo. There's a difference in the spelling. Whereas hello is spelled H-E-double-L-O or H-E-L-L-O, the word halo is spelled H-A-L-O, and it's supposed to have a different meaning, you know, or to be translated, to be defined as some or such otherwise. But then I will continue to employ the uses of use the other greeting words of hey and hi, and make that perfectly clear. And now that I have gotten that off my chest or out of my system and explaining, then let me move right along. As I would usually give the basic intro, I would speak upon a subject matter, be it one that is of a topic of discussion to be debated, of a given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing some and such thereof, is of controversy or not, or a plague upon any given society, country, or nation within the global community, of an issue that has yet to be resolved, if it has not been already or not. Yes, be I were to speak upon one subject matter or type of discussion or given argument, or a couple few for that matter. But then don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to deliver, and hopefully with that much less usages of explicit profanity, much rather than instead of with that much more cuss words to simply say. Therefore, hopefully it will be some such to be gone about express for a person being of whom is supposed to believe in God as a Christian, a.k.a. Protestant, as I am. And hopefully with that much less of a chance for me to be playing the part of the devil's advocate, and less to you being a prodigal son. Much rather instead of that much more like someone or such one of that nature. And whereas the worst two evils is the likes of any of those closet devil worshippers of false brethren, false prophets, and or antichrist, being of whom make up the majority of most churchgoers or whatsoever or whatever religious denominations, being not just the worst, but the worstest of closet devil worshippers, and therefore they themselves would be the worstest of unbelievers and non-believers, being a deceivers who pretend to be believers in God as in Christian, a.k.a. Protestants, of modern day religious Pharisees and Sadducees. But then if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now, while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing or realizing what he himself had done upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some Roman soldiers up on the orders of their superiors, religious and otherwise. But then nevertheless, whereas he himself had went to that cross of Calvary to become the perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me, for you all, so that if any of us being of whatsoever race and whatever walks of life, fashion of society, lifestyle preferences, being of the old, young alike of both two sexual genders, or males and females, represent not only the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within this post 911 era of our new millennium apocalyptic day and age, where the doomsday clock is at a quarter to, or rather correction, at a couple few minutes to midnight compared on to our former period prior to then. It was at a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times where the profess some of such faith in him will never become and be blessed in one regard or another, more ways one. First and foremost, with his salvation being of which is the only means being of which will qualify us to become citizens of the kingdom of heaven with other like-minded believers in God as Christian, a.k.a. Protestants. Once we would make that transition for the great beyond the hereafter, the afterlife. Then second of all, we'll be blessed while we're still down here upon the planet Earth. But first, you have got to get the most important blessing, not just the much more important, but the most important blessing being of his salvation. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as any blessings is concerned. Your final destination will be the lake of fire, to be condemned to eternal damnation with the rest of the unsaved, unbelievers and non-believers, to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demon forever, compared to how we, as believers in God, as in Christian, a.k.a. Protestant, will be across that great divide that separates heaven and hell, with the rest of the saved, like-minded believers in God, as in Christian, a.k.a. Protestants, as citizens of the kingdom of heaven in the presence of God and his angels otherwise. You all take care and be safe. Be blessed, not stressed, if and when you can or could possibly become of a status as that being, if you're not already, as in a believer in God, any of you all. And I'll holler at you later. Until then it's a wrap. Until we meet again, peace.